Namaste. How does yoga blocks improve your posture? Well, today we're going to learn how to use the blocks to create good alignment and release poor posture and any aches and pains due to your poor posture that you may be experiencing. Hi, I'm Lynn, founder of Yoga Me Fit, and I'm here to help you be posture fit. In this video today, you're going to learn how to create perfect posture utilizing the yoga blocks with just a few simple techniques that will change your whole alignment and release all of your aches and pains. When you follow these techniques and you become more aware of them in your daily life, you're going to learn more about how to sit properly, how to stand properly, how to bend over, pick something up and stand back up without it going into your back and creating aches and pains. You'll also be strengthening to create good alignment and good posture in your body and to release those aches and pains. So let's get started. You'll need 2 blocks, the chair, and a wall. And a dining room chair or kitchen chair is just fine. See you on the mat. We're going to begin on our mat seated. So I want you to take 2 blocks. If you're able to sit in a cross-legged seated posture without rounding into your back, or your knees are higher than your hip points, then you do not need a block under your seat. If your knees are higher than your arches of your hip bones, or you're rounding in your back and you're having trouble lifting out of your lower back, you're going to sit up on a block. So what this is going to do when you sit up on a block, it's going to release your knees down and allow your inner thighs and groins and hips to open. And then it's going to actually get you to lift out of your lower back so you're not rounding back in. So we want to find the alternating S-spine. So when you find the center of those knob-like sits bones that you're sitting on, then you will be able to create these alternating curves in your back. And if you look, the sacrum is more kyphotic or convex. The lumbar is more lordotic or concave. Thoracic mirrors the sacral bone, so more convex or kyphotic. And then the cervical spine mirrors the lumbar spine, more concave or lordotic. So once you establish this S-spine, you want to hold that. If you think about sitting back against the wall, which we're going to be doing in just a few moments, you want to feel like your head's moving back so your ears are over your shoulders and your shoulders are stacked over your hips here. So we're going to hold here, this posture, with the minimal effort that it takes to hold the posture. Take a moment to breathe into your body. Take a few deep inhales through the nose for 4, 3, 2, hold the breath. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, hold the breath. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, hold. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, hold. One more. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, hold. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, hold. Return back to your natural breath. And just take a moment to feel the energy of the breath work. Feel the energy that it's taking to sustain this posture. So in our daily life, we tend to want to slump, round forward, computers, phones, heads going forward. There's a lot of going on with people developing hyperkyphosis. It's becoming very prominent in this tech world these days. What that is when the shoulders round forward, you begin to get this Dodger's hump or this big rounding through your upper back here, and then the head is jutted forward. So we're working on reversing that today. So take a moment to recreate the posture if you've lost it, and then we'll begin with a few spinal twists just to warm up the spine. You're going to inhale, stretch your arms up. As you exhale, twist to your right. Bring your right hand back behind you, left hand to the thigh. Inhale, lift out of the lower back, and then exhale, twist. Inhale, lift. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lift. Exhale, twist. On your next inhale, revolve back to center, stretching the arms up and overhead. And as you exhale, twist to your left side. Plant the hand behind you. Inhale, extend through your spine. And as you exhale, revolve the rib cage. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. And if it's not too much on your neck, you can gently turn and look over the shoulder. If that feels too much of a strain, just keep your chin more in line with your breastbone here. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. On your next inhale, stretch your arms up, join the palms together, and gently release the hands back down. Okay, so now you're going to go to your wall, so come off of your block. So if you needed your block to allow the knees to drop below the hips or to lift out of your lower back, you're going to bring your block toward the wall to sit on. And now we're going to grab another block. And this block is you're gonna press right between your shoulder blades into the block against the wall. So the block is gonna come right about the bottom tips of your shoulder blades, or about where your bra strap is if you're a female. If not, you can feel back here in the shoulder blades and feel where the bottom tips are here, and that's where you want to be. So I'll demonstrate on the block. I'll come back into that Sukhasana, cross-legged seated posture, and then we're going to bring the block behind us. So I feel like it's pushing me a little forward, so I'm going to bring my block that I'm sitting on a little more forward. Then you're going to slide that block up the wall, and you're going to just draw back into that block. And this is going to start to give you awareness through your posture muscles. So right across where the shoulder blades are, you should feel that the inner edges of your shoulder blades are moving in toward the block here. So the moment you start to round or release, then you're going to lose the block here. So this is going to keep you focused to where you have to draw back into the back body to maintain that alignment. Keep your gaze soft, your eyes are soft, your face is soft, and just take a few deep breaths here. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Take one more cycle of breath. Slowly release the block from behind you here and come off the other block. So now we're going to get your chair. So use your kitchen chair, your dining room chair, whatever chair that you have. You're going to use your chair. So a lot of times when we go to sit down, we just kind of flop down and round down like this. So you can see how that rounds and dumps into our lower back here, and then our shoulders go forward. So you want to sit at the edge of the chair, and you're going to bring the one block between your hands, because we're going to add the shoulders here. So the main thing that this is teaching you is how to engage your thigh muscles so that you're using your leg muscles to lift up out of the chair instead of your back muscles. So I'm going to recreate that posture that we just did at the wall. You want to feel as if you're drawing your shoulders back into that imaginary block, and you want to find where your pelvis is not tilted too far forward to where you feel compression in your back, or posteriorly tilted toward the back wall too much, so that you're rounding here. So you want to feel this lift out, and a good way to do that is these knob-like sits bones, the ischial tuberosities of your pelvis. If you find the center of them, you're going to know that you're in the right place. So if you're more forward of those bones and toward your pubic bone, you're going to be more into that hyperextended or lordotic state. And if you're posteriorly tilted too far back, you're going to be more toward the tailbone. And then you're going to feel that rounding and dumping into your back body. So those two knob-like bones in your sits bone we call the sits bones in yoga, they will give you some feedback as to where you are in them. Now, it's very important that you parallel your feet and you plant your feet firmly into the ground, like you're pushing your feet like roots into the earth. And then we're going to ground the four cornerstones of your palm into the block. And we're going to stretch the block forward, but we're going to pull the arm bones back. So you can see that when my arm bones pull forward, it concaves my chest here and rounds my back. When I plug my arm bones back, you see my shoulder blades go onto my back, but yet it broadens through my collarbones and opens my chest a little more. So we're feeling that strengthening through the upper back and that stretch and opening through the front of the chest. Find a focal point. You're going to inhale. As you exhale, push down, stand up, and then inhale, stretch the block up, lengthening through the spine, keeping the spine in the same plane. And then as you exhale, reach your seat back. So I'm using my hip hinge, and I'm going to come back onto the chair. Inhale, push down, pull up, stretch up, lengthen up. Exhale, reach your seat back, lengthen through the arm bones, and then slowly release. So this should be felt right here in your thigh muscles. So there's no stress or strain on your back, and you're maintaining good postural alignment, and there's no back being used in this, no muscles in your back. It's pure, the legs is what's pulling you up here. Okay, we'll do one more cycle. Draw your arm bones back, find your focal point, root down, inhale, exhale, push up, inhale, stretch up, lift up, and then exhale, slowly release back down. Okay, so that will definitely help you save your back when you can start using the muscles of your legs to start to get up and down. All right, so now we're going to use the wall and stand on the wall. So we'll come up to standing here. You're going to want to have one block with you. So now we're going to create the alignment on the wall. When we think about posture, so I just showed you some variations when you're sitting down, how posture can be poor, and then how you can correct that to create good alignment, which is very good for your organs because now they're going to have space and you're not going to be collapsing down into your organs. So you've probably seen these types of postures where maybe the knees hyperextend back and the rib cage juts forward, and then the lower back looks like a sway back or a banana back. So this is not good for your back either. And then you've probably seen the posture where you pop your thighs forward and round and dump into your chest, and then you've got more of a rounded back body here. So depending on what your body's doing or what the tendency of your body does is how you've got to make those adjustments. So say that you're popped forward like this. So you want the top of your thighs, because this is actually tightening your psoas muscle, which is a very important muscle that needs to stay healthy in your body. It's a big muscle that attaches to the inner femur bone of your thigh. It comes across the top of your hip, and it attaches from the T12 down into the lumbar spine. So think about that. It attaches the lower and the upper part of your body, and it attaches front and back part of your body. So when your thighs are popping forward, that's putting a lot of stress and strain on that psoas muscle. So you just want to think about softening here and drawing the tops of the thighs back so it's hollow. Now, there's a fine line there, because if you keep drawing the thighs back, then look, you're going to go to the other end of the pendulum. Now you're going to be into the banana back. So if you're into the banana back, think about your tailbone. You want to draw it towards your pubic bone so that you can find neutral spine and pelvis. And this is what we're going to create on the wall, but the wall is going to keep you in that alignment so you can't cheat. So we'll come to the wall. If you can bring your heels to the wall and then bring it'll be more like the top part of your glutes and your sacral bone and hip bones here. That should go to the wall. And then remember how we drew the arm bones back. The shoulder blades go to the wall, and then the head goes to the wall. If it feels like the wall is pushing you forward, just inch your feet forward, just the minimal amount for now, until you can stand at the wall without feeling like, and then maybe slowly as your posture begins to realign, you can start to bring your heels back to the wall. Now, if you're more rounded and your head is forward, this is where you may need to roll up a towel and then bring that towel to put your head back. Because if you're straining to get your head back because your head has been so far forward, then you're going to have to put some type of spacer there, some kind of towel, something that's going to allow you to push in toward the wall. So let's first find the mountain pose onto the wall. So we're going to parallel your feet. That's important because that affects your hips and your lower back and your spine. So make sure that your feet, your toes are pointed forward, not in or turned out. And then you're going to draw the pelvis to the wall, the shoulders to the wall, and the head to the wall. And just take a moment to breathe into that. Be mindful if you tend to hyperextend your knees that you're not popping your shin bone and your knee back. So you're going to press into the ball of your feet so that you're equally distributing the weight between the heel and the ball of the foot. So now as you stand here and you're pressing into those points through the back body, head, shoulders, pelvis, maybe your heels are against the baseboard, maybe they're not, that's okay. Start to breathe. Feel how this really opens and lifts the rib cage away from the hips. So you're creating all this nice space in your body. So now we're going to focus on how can we create posture strength in the upper back. So we're going to do some shoulder stabilization. So just like you pulled back, draw that arm bone back. Now keep your shoulder blade on your back and spin your palm out so you're in external rotation. So your thumb will be like the paintbrush. On your inhale, you're going to slowly take the arm up, but when you feel your shoulder blade come off the wall, or maybe you're feeling your shoulder blade starting to creep up toward your ear, then you've lost it. You've lost the structural integration of keeping the shoulder onto the wall without moving it. So keep the shoulder on the wall and try to move the limb. That's the only thing that's moving is your arm. Now, if you have stiffness, tightness, weakness, you may not be able to get it all the way overhead. If you may have an injury, you find out that you may, whoa, that hurts. I can't go any further. Well, then you're going to have to honor that and really work on stabilizing that arm bone and shoulder back into the wall. We'll do one more on this side. So you don't want the periphery, your index or thumb, to leave the wall. So if you're trying to go up the wall and you're kind of skipping and it's coming off the wall, you've lost your form there too. Okay, let's go to the other side. Bring your opposite arm up, plug the shoulder back into the wall so you feel it. Turn the palm out. The thumb now becomes the paintbrush. And on your inhale, you're going to keep your shoulder blade drawing in toward the wall and the spine as you stretch up. So on this one, I'm feeling a little tightness. And some compensations that'll happen in your body is you may feel your elbow trying to bend to compensate. You may feel like I say, the hand, the index or thumb coming off the wall. But just honor where you are. And little by little, as you practice this is going to allow you to develop better stability and joint stabilization, but yet you're increasing your range of motion. So maybe if you were stuck at the shoulder level, but over time, as you start to break that up and you continue to stabilize through the shoulders, you can start to slowly work that arm up the wall until you can find full range of motion here. Okay, so that would be your mountain pose practice on the wall with stabilization. Now we're going to create a little bit more stability. And you can think about your block is like you're creating a container to hug into so that you're strengthening through your arms and your shoulders. So I like to do it break it down where we do it right and left, because that's going to give you feedback on what's going on. Because you probably found out that, wow, one side is way different than the other side. So when you know what's going on in your body, you can begin to work with that individually, because if you try to do things together, like we're getting ready to do, maybe that one side that's not so mobile, it's going to be having to try to keep up with the other side. And that you may end up, injuring yourself if you have some shoulder issues or pain going on. So we'll find that Tadasana mountain pose back onto the wall again. This time, the four corners of your hand again are going to hug into the blocks. That's important, because if you keep your, if you let the index knuckle gap open, then this is going to compromise the stability through the medial side of the joints, through the wrist, the elbow, and the shoulder. So press equally as best as you can, and then plug the arm bones back. On your inhale, you're going to start to stretch up toward the sky, again, keeping the shoulder blades on your back and not allowing your shoulders to creep up toward your ears. Your exhale is going to take you back down again. Stay focused. Use the breath to movement. Begin the breath and allow the body to move with the energy of your breath. Now this is another one. If you notice, I'm not moving my spine or my hips as my arms start to go overhead. This is important. Stabilize that S-spine. So as your arms go up, you should not feel your back becoming more lordotic to where your pelvis pulls off the wall this way. And you should not round and pop your thighs forward either. So either way, your pelvis is going to come off the wall and you're going to be more towards your buttocks at the bottom part of the glutes instead of up higher on the glutes when you're more in the banana back. So find neutral. And this is another one where you might go, whoa, that is tight. And that's okay. You just go to where you can go. So little by little, slowly, this will start to improve for you. As I hug in, my muscles are engaging. And as I come down, I'm still working. My muscles are still engaging. So you should feel your biceps engaging. When you hug into the block, all the muscles around your arms and joints feel like they're wrapping you and giving you a wonderful hug for support and stability. Okay, let's do one more. Stay with your breath. And then release that. So I encourage you, if you have never done anything like this, just start out with maybe 3 and then work to 5 and little by little work up to 10 repetitions. And then before you know it, with practice, you're going to start to see your alignment change, your posture. You're going to have less aches and pains. You're going to feel like you have more mobility and more range of motion also. So now we're going to work on a forward bend with the block. So a lot of times the misalignments, when we go to forward bend, we just round down and you can see I've lost my curves. Now I'm putting a lot of pressure and stress in my lower back to try to touch my toes. So you can see how my back is totally rounded. My shoulders are forward, so I'm going to keep that. And if I was to stand up, this is exactly what I would look like. So we're going to recreate. We're going to find the neutral pelvis and spine. Holding the block between your thighs may give you some more stability and stabilization so your pelvis won't tend to tilt more anteriorly or posteriorly. And this may help you create a little more support, and it definitely helps support your lower back, especially if you have any tweakiness in your lower back already that you're dealing with. This is going to definitely help support that. And then the other block we're going to use behind our back, because this is going to teach us to keep the collarbones, the head of the arm bones, and the shoulders back. So we're strengthening through our posture muscles and opening through our chest. So we're going to press into the block. We're going to just hold it right here behind us, just like this. So it's the same thing that you did here. We're just doing it here. Okay, you're going to inhale. As you exhale, you're going to start to bend. Now, you might feel like, oh, that's too much. So bend your knees and go halfway. Then you're going to inhale, push down, just like you did in that chair, and stand back up again. Inhale, exhale, bend the knees, hinge from your hips, and hold. So see, my back should still be nice and long with the alternating curves. Inhale, push down, rise up. Exhale, hold. You may find that it's pretty challenging to hold that block behind your back, especially the cork blocks, because they're a little heavier than the foam blocks. But just keep working. It'll strengthen you for sure. Okay, we'll do one more of these. Inhale, lengthen into mountain pose. Exhale, now reach your seat back, just like you were sitting in the chair. You don't want to lead with your knees because you should still see your toes. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, release. So that will definitely bring strength, bring postural awareness into your back body. Okay, so now we're going to work that psoas muscle that I talked about. We're going to work on strengthening and stretching that also. But one of the common misalignments that you see a lot in yoga classes is in the lunge pose or the warrior one, the Virabhadrasana 1 pose. We're working to get our knee over our ankle, so we're stacking our joints. But a lot of times, this is what's going on. And then this hip is rotating out. So then we've got all kind of stuff going on back there, creating instability in the hips and the back. So this is going to help you find that stability, but also start to strengthen and stretch that psoas muscle and give you more support and confidence when you're doing these type of poses on your mat. So we'll take one block, and you're going to bring your right leg toward the wall and step your left foot back. Don't worry about putting the heel down. Let's just start out in the lunge position first, and we'll do that one. You're going to bring the block between the wall and the top of your shin, so please make sure you're not pushing your kneecap into that block. And then this with the heel up in the back is going to help you square your hips here toward the wall. Once you square your hips, now you want to the same thing. I'm trying to create neutral pelvis. So this would be if I dump into my banana back here, or if I round and tuck too much and pop my left thigh bone too far forward. So we're going to try to stretch, find that hollowness, and that's more softening, but it's going to be stretching through the back leg, the psoas is, and we're going to be strengthening the psoas through the front leg. So take a moment, see if you can feel yourself as if you're leaning back into the wall. If balance is an issue, keep your hands on the wall. If balance isn't an issue, bring the arms down. You're going to hold and breathe here. And as much from this hip as I'm extending out to the wall, from this opposite hip, I'm extending out through the heel. So think the front leg is strengthening in the psoas, the opposite leg is stretching the psoas. Now bring your hands to the wall and you can step that back heel in. And this is going to give you that grounding and anchoring through the outer heel. The toes turn out slightly, but you still want to feel like you're drawing that front hip back and that back hip forward. So you may have to step the foot in just a little bit more to get the back heel down. And then this is going to give you that support and get you to feel what you're supposed to feel in your body when you're actually working toward the proper alignment for Virabhadrasana 1 pose. So if you can find your balance, you're going to try to level, find the alternating curves in your spine by adjusting your pelvis so it's not spilling too far forward, because that's the tendency in this posture. On your inhale, stretch all the way up. As you exhale, you can draw those shoulders back into your back body. Now you can start to take it into a little bit of a back bend. On your inhale, come back to center. And as you exhale, release down. Take your block and then we'll step and switch it out to the other side. You'll bring the opposite leg forward. Bring the block between the shin and the wall. And then step that back foot back so you're on the ball of the foot and the toes, and then wrap and square both of your pelvic bones toward the wall, because the tendency is to turn this hip out. So wrap it in. And then we want to think about trying to create more of a neutral spine and pelvis, just like we did in mountain pose. The only difference is we've got one leg in flexion and one leg in extension, but we're still trying to stack ears, shoulders, and hips, just like we did when we were sitting down and when we were standing against the wall. So for balance, bring your hands back, but try to feel like you're reaching back through the head, the shoulders, and the pelvis onto the wall. So now you'll feel the opposite energies happen. So the front leg with the block is strengthening the psoas. The back leg is stretching that psoas muscle. And if you're balanced, you want to play with that. Just let your arms come down by your side. You can inhale, stretch up. Hold your lunge position, because this will start to give you feedback and what you should feel in your body when you're not using the wall. You'll connect to the muscles that you should be activating when you're like freestyle practicing on your mat in a class or on your own. Okay, so now we're going to step that back heel in. And again, you want to work to where you can square the hips. And when you do, you might feel that your heel comes up a little bit. So step it in where you can ground through the outer pinky toe side of that foot. And then this tends to spill the pelvis more into that banana back here. So give yourself a little rounding in like cat pose. And you'll feel that lift through the front body and that length through the back. And then slowly start to bring the shoulders and ears back over the pelvis. Balance isn't an issue. Bring your arms down by your side. Inhale, rise. Exhale, hold. Inhale. Exhale, if you want to take it into a little bit of a back bend, without it going into your lower back. That would be a red flag here. This is where it would come from, the upper thoracic spine. That's where the back bend would come from. Inhale, bring it back to center. Exhale, release. Okay, so we'll do one more standing posture, which is really good for your back, and it's also good for strengthening and stretching. It's called Trikhanasana Triangle. So you'll come into a wide-legged stance about 4 feet apart, and you're going to bring the right heel in and turn the right toes toward the front of your mat, and then just gently push the heel back a little bit. The block's going to come to the outside of that right leg there. You can start it on the high setting, and then we're working on trying not to dump down into our hips. This tends to be what you see a lot too. So think about, we're going to pull our legs toward each other so that we're trying to bring stability and more levelness through the pelvis here. On your inhale, you're going to stretch your arms out, and then as you exhale, reach and slowly release that hand down to the block and stretch the top arm up. So the same principles that I've been teaching you, those techniques, think about even in this plane of the body. My pelvis is back onto the wall. My shoulders are back, so I'm not rounding my shoulders forward. My shoulders are back on the wall, and my head is back on the wall. And of course, if you want to go deeper, you can always bring the block down and go a little bit deeper. The main thing is you want to try to keep this underside lifted so you're not dumping into it. So you want to feel like you're stretching through both sides of the body and extending. Take one more full deep inhale and exhale here. On your inhale, root through your feet and rise back up to center and release. Then bend your knee, take your block with you, turn your right foot in, turn your left foot out. You're going to bring the block here to the outside, and then again, just being conscious that you're working on stacking your joints here and not dumping into your hips. So that tends to be one of the misalignments that you see a lot in class. But when you can feel the muscles actually wrapping around the bones and the joints, you know that you feel that stability and support. Okay, you want to make sure also that that left thigh turns out, that it's not dumping the knee inside. Both quads are strong. Just like you use the quads to push down and stand up from that chair seat, you're doing the same thing. Push down and activate your quads here. Inhale, stretch your arms out. As you exhale, slowly reach, moving into that triangle pose. You can always start here and just feel what it feels like to you. If you feel like you're not getting enough, once you integrate and feel like you're resting back onto the wall, just like you did when we were seated, when we were standing, you can always flip that block down, go a little deeper into the stretch, and do what feels good to you. Just remember to honor your body. That's the most important thing. Listen to your body. Take one more full deep inhale and exhale. Inhale, root down, rise back up through to center, and exhale, release. Turn that left foot in. You can heel toe your feet together, or you can jump your feet together. Now we're going to start to move it down. You're going to need 2 blocks. So we'll come down onto the mat, and we're going to bring the blocks forward. We'll start on the lowest setting here first. And then we're going to take the palms forward first, walk your feet back, and just give yourself a nice stretch into child's pose. Just taking a moment for reflection and just feeling the focused work that you did. Maybe some of the new places and spaces that you've explored today with these techniques have brought a new awareness and new sensations to some areas that maybe you haven't connected to before. Okay, inhale, look up, lift up through your seat. Now we're going to come into a variation to really deepen the shoulders into the back, but also to open the heart space. It's called puppy pose. So you're going to want to bring your elbows down onto the blocks here, and your hips stay over your knees here. So again, we're just, think about we're in a prone position, more face down. So this would be bananaing the back here. This would be over tucking and rounding the back. So we want to find that neutrality through the spine and the pelvis. So if you feel compression, you'll feel your belly and your ribs hanging toward the ground like a cow's udder if you're in that banana back. And if you're over tucked right here, you're going to feel more rounding and contracting in the lower back, and that more like a cat stretch. So you want to find where it feels balanced between those two opposites. So you should feel a lift in your lower belly, and you should still feel the length in your lumbar curve. Take a deep breath in. Now as you exhale, just start to melt your heart and chest down. The palms, they can stay where they are. They can maybe travel toward the back. Now, as I started sinking, I felt like I was losing and going more into a banana back. So I had to root in a little more to get my abs to engage, to protect my lower back. So if you can feel that lift through your lower belly, not by sucking in, but just bringing that pelvis back into neutral. So you feel the deep transverse abdominis core muscles supporting you like a girdle. And just feel that lift. And breathe deeply here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last breath. Inhale. Exhale. Bring your arms back out. Slowly bring yourself back upright. And then you can sit back on your heels. If that's a challenge for you, just bring your block. You can flip your block up and you can sit back on your block also. So just take a moment to feel. You should have got a really nice stretch through your tricep muscles, but yet you got a really good heart opener and you got some good shoulder work done. We're going to do another heart opening, but shoulder strengthening and stabilization. And this is just making you aware of your posture muscles. So in your daily life, like if you're sitting at your computer or you're driving and you feel this start to happen, you're going to go, ooh, that doesn't feel good. And then you're going to want to move back into that place that you've been practicing at to strengthen through your posture muscles and feel more opening through your chest. And little by little, over time, you know, your muscles will get stronger and then you won't even have to think about it. You'll just be, yeah, this feels good in this place. Okay, we'll come back off of our seat, stretch your feet toward the front of your mat. Now you're going to need 2 blocks. We're going to bring 1 block. I'm going to start on the lower setting. And it's the same thing. This is going to come right at the bottom tips of your shoulder blades. So right across the upper thoracic spine. Your shoulder blades and your upper thoracic spine are going to rest onto the block. Not down here in the lumbar spine. And then the other block is going to be for your head, because if you try to bring your head back without the block and you find your strain in your throat, then it's a little bit too much. So as you extend, start to bring yourself back. If this is too much on your back, once you get in it, you can always bend your knees and then adjust and bring that bottom edge of the block to the bottom tips of your shoulder blades. And then release your head onto the block and open up your arms here. So think about opening and stretching out through your limbs here. And then if you can stretch the legs out, stretch your legs out. Again, you should not feel it in your lower back. This should feel really good. So take a moment to just feel this shape of Matsyasana, fish pose, supported fish pose. And of course, as you start to get more open and you start to stretch more, you can start to deepen it. You can bring the block up a little bit higher here and go a little deeper into it. So this tends, if you're not careful, you can overarch your lower back. So there is that drawing of lifting and toning through the belly and lengthening through your lower back here. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. To come out of this, bring your hands down by your side, your hips. Tuck your chin toward your chest, and then inhale, push down and pull yourself up again. Okay, we got one more here. So this is a supported bridge pose, and this is really good for releasing your back pain and just opening yourself up through the front body. So you may need 2 blocks, but start with 1. We're going to gently roll down onto our back body. Once, think about what you did on the wall when you were standing. Recreate that right here in a supine position on your back body. So everything I'm teaching you, it's carrying through every single posture that we have done today in this practice. So think about your heels are against the baseboard when you were standing. You're more resting toward the top of the buttock muscles, the sacral and the hip bones here. You should be able to slide your 4 flat fingers between your lumbar curve and still feel the lumbar spine resting on the back of your hand. You feel your rib cage, your shoulder blades, and the back of your head onto the mat. And so now you see how the sacral bone between the pelvic bones and the shoulder blades, they're more kyphotic or convex, and they mirror each other. And you can see how the lumbar spine and the cervical spine are more concave or lordotic, and they mirror one another. So bend your knees now. Bring your heels towards your buttocks. You're gonna, once you lift your hips, do not turn your head right or left. So if you need to look up at the video, bring your hips back down. So press through the back of your head, press through your feet, and then inhale, lift your seat off the mat, and then slide that block right across the hips and the sacral bone. So that is not in your lumbar curve. So feel the bottom edge of the block. That should be right there at the tailbone. And then the other end of the block should be right at the top of the sacral bone and the hip bones. And it feels really good to release the pelvis. Now, the only reason that I said you might need another block, if your knees tend to want to splay and dump in toward one another, or maybe you feel them splaying out toward the outside of the pinky toe sides of your feet, if you would place that other block right between your inner thigh muscles, then that will help you find that neutral alignment with keeping the right angle through the legs. So you'll have your hips in alignment with your knees in alignment with your ankles. And then you can just stretch your arms out. If you feel that you want a little deeper stretch, push down through your head and your feet equally, lift your seat off of your block, and then just flip your block up onto that medium side, and then release back down on it. Keep your eyes closed and just enjoy this feeling of releasing and letting go. This is very nurturing, very relaxing, very calming to your nervous system. And of course, as you begin to gain more mobility and flexibility, you may be able to lift your pelvis high enough to flip the block up onto the tallest side and rest on the sacral bone and the hip bones here to get even a deeper opening through the front body. When you're ready to come out of this, remember, don't turn your head, push into your feet and your head, lift your seat, remove your block out of the way, and use the thigh muscles, engage them, and slowly, slowly begin to release back down onto the mat. Once you come down onto the mat, bring your right knee towards you, bring your left knee towards you, and just give yourself a gentle rock. So your knees shouldn't pull all the way in so far that you lift the sacrum and the hips off the floor. So imagine that you're still on that block. Feel that's where your pelvis should be on the ground, and you should feel like you're rocking across the sacral bone and the hip bones, not up into the lumbar curve area. Just give yourself a gentle rock side to side, massaging out. And then release your feet down as wide as your mat. Now just let your knees come together to the center like they're holding one another up. Bring your left hand to your heart space, your right hand just above or right at your navel space. And just take a moment to just feel your breath moving through your body. Feel the sensations in your body. Noticing anything that may have shifted today that while you were working through these techniques. But know, the more you practice, the more you're going to find new places and spaces, releasing any of your aches and pains, and feeling way more stability and mobility. Gently stretch the one arm toward your ear and then roll over to one side of the body. Let your head rest on the arm. Draw your knees in and just take a moment to rest into that fetal posture here. Slowly begin to push your way back up as you press into the earth, bringing you back up into your seat. I encourage you, if you sat on your block at the beginning of the class to create the posture, come back and sit on the block again so that you can notice what shifted for you. So if you started because you needed to get your knees lower than your hips, or you needed to get the lift out of your lower back so you weren't rounding into the back, sit back up onto your block. And then just take a moment to recreate that posture, just like you're resting back. You feel the shoulders in your back. You feel that muscular engagement through your back body. Thank you for joining me today for this practice. If you like the content, please subscribe, hit the bell notification so you can receive more educational content to help you, not just in your yoga practice, but with your daily life and any movements that you do. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. From my heart to yours, namaste.